Thank you for taking a moment to learn how to offer your goods and services to the City of Topeka. To begin, we'll define what procurement is. Procurement is the complete process of purchasing goods and services. It includes evaluating needs, conducting market research, evaluating life cycle cost, gathering competitive bids. A way the city gathers competitive bids is through a website or supplier portal to request pricing on supplies or proposals for the work on city projects from the public. The Contracts and Procurement Division is always happy to help with the registration process, submitting bids through the supplier portal, and navigating the city website. The city purchases a wide range of goods and services to support its operations and infrastructure. These purchases are generally categorized into four main areas, but are not limited to the following categories or examples. Construction, which includes but is not limited to projects related to concrete work, street maintenance, utilities, and building maintenance. Goods or materials. Some common examples of goods or materials of what the city buys are various materials such as chemicals, apparel, equipment, and concrete and aggregate materials. Professional services. The city relies on expert services like engineering design, architecture, and water system testing to provide a few examples. Labor-related services. Essential labor services include janitorial work, trade services, and bulk mailing. These categories encompass the diverse needs of the city, ensuring it runs smoothly and efficiently. The city uses various methods to procure goods and services depending on the value and nature of the purchase. These methods are structured to ensure transparency, competitiveness, and value for money. Here's how the city procures. Small and open market purchases. For amounts $1,999.99 and less, the city considers these small purchases. Departments are directed to the greatest extent practical to secure quotes from more than one qualified vendor or supplier to enhance competition. Small purchases can be made by the issuance of a purchase order or a city-issued credit card. For amounts from $2,000 to $10,000, the city requires, to the greatest extent practical, departments secure 3 quotes through an open market purchase. Department staff must remit these quotes to the Contracts and Procurement Division for review and approval to proceed. Informal bidding process. For amounts from $10,001 to $99,999.99, the city uses a sealed bidding process, which is done electronically through the supplier portal mentioned earlier. Formal bidding process. For projects $100,000 or more, the city also uses a sealed bidding process similar to the informal bidding process. The difference is that projects bid using a formal bidding process may require bonding, which includes bid bond, performance bond, and payment bonds. Request for proposals. For estimated professional services costing $50,000 or more, the city uses a sealed bidding process known as a request for proposal, or RFP. This process is based on qualifications rather than price. The award for informal and formal bids are based on the lowest responsible bids received. These procurement methods help ensure the city obtains high-quality goods and services while maintaining fairness and integrity in the procurement process. As described on the previous slide, the city has a set specific thresholds for the procurement of goods based on the cost of the purchase. These thresholds help streamline the purchasing process and ensure appropriate authorization is achieved. When the city is procuring goods and obtaining competitive bids, the city is required to award to the lowest responsible bidder that meets the goods specification. Here's a breakdown of the thresholds and associated authorization process. For purchases of $1,999.99 or less, authorization is required from the department director or their designee. For purchases from $2,000 to $10,000, authorization is required from the department director or their designee and their assigned procurement buyer. As stated before, departments must remit their quotes that they have gathered to gain competition to the Contracts and Procurement Division for review and approval before proceeding. For purchases from $10,001 to $99,999.99, the informal bid procedure must be followed, and authorization is required from the department director or their designee and the director of contracts and procurement or their designee. For purchases $10,000 or more, the formal bid procedure must be followed as well, and authorization is required from the department director or their designee and the director of contracts and procurement or their designee. These thresholds and processes ensure that all purchases are conducted efficiently with the necessary oversight. The city has established specific thresholds for procuring professional services to ensure efficiency and adherence to standards. When the city seeks competition for obtaining professional services, the most important thing to remember is that the city must select and award to the most qualified vendor as defined in the city's specifications for the project. A professional service is one that requires special knowledge, skills, or technical training, resulting in a higher level of expertise and the ability to exercise judgment. Professional services include, but are not limited to, the following disciplines: administrative and technical consulting services, architectural and engineering services, financial and accounting services, information technology services, land surveyors, appraisers, and land use planner services, legal services, management and systems analyst services, and photographic art and marketing services. Here's a breakdown of these thresholds and the associated processes. For services costing $49,999.99 or less, the process used is the open market solicitation for proposals, where authorization is required from the department director or their designee, and the director of contracts and procurement or their designee. For services costing $50,000 or more, the process used is the sealed request for proposal procedure, where authorization is required from the department director or their designee and the director of contracts and procurement or their designee. These services require specialized expertise, which ensures that the city can effectively manage its various projects and operations. The city is committed to supporting minority, women, and disadvantaged business enterprise, also known as MWDBE. To achieve this, the city has established specific utilization goals. Here are the key components of the MWDBE utilization goal. Establish annual percentage goals, where the city sets annual percentage goals for the utilization of MWDBE companies. This ensures that there is a targeted effort to include these businesses in city projects and contracts. Quarterly review and analysis, which is done by the city reviewing and analyzing MWDBE utilization on a quarterly basis. This data is included in the quarterly report to track progress and make any necessary adjustments. Annual reporting, which the city reports the annual percentage utilization of MWDBE to the governing body through the city manager. This ensures transparency and accountability in meeting the established goals. These efforts highlight the city's dedication to promoting diversity and inclusion in its procurement processes. To support vendors and contractors, the city provides access to various resources. Here are some key resources where you can find additional support and information. Visit the City of Topeka's Development Services webpage for contractor licensing information. Visit the City of Topeka's Development Services webpage for contractor licensing information. The State of Kansas website provides access to resources and support for minority, women, and disadvantaged business enterprises. The Kansas Business One Stop is where you can find comprehensive business resources. Visit the Greater Topeka Partnership to learn about available incentives for businesses in Shawnee County. These resources provide valuable information and support to help you succeed in your business endeavors with the city. Stay informed about upcoming bid opportunities and events. Vendors and contractors can use the following resources. The City Manager's Weekly Report. Check the weekly report on the City Manager's webpage on topeka.org. Workshops. For both English and Spanish workshops that are scheduled and announced, watch the weekly report and visit the procurement website. If you require immediate assistance, contact the main procurement number for immediate assistance by emailing procurement@topeka.org or by calling 785-368-3749. These resources and events provide valuable opportunities to engage with the city's procurement process and stay updated on new bids and initiatives. Thank you for watching.